The purpose of this video is to give you a brief overview of the strategic management marketplace simulation that you will be participating in for the rest of the semester. Congratulations, you and your teammates have just created a brand new company and you're entering the 3D printed carbon fiber bicycle market. It's a really exciting time to be entering the market. However, be careful, you have a lot of competition hot on your tails as all your classmates are also forming companies and entering the same market. You will be competing against your classmates' companies for market share as well as profitability. The actual way we will measure your performance we'll talk about a little bit later in this video, but you'll have some input as to what you want your company to be measured on. But overall, if you're capturing market share and you're operating profitably, you typically are doing well. First things first, you will form a team and assign roles within your team. The simulation itself will give you a little more guidance on typical titles or roles that each individual takes up because you'll have a variety of different decisions to make as a company. Marketing decisions, manufacturing and operating decisions. How many bikes are we making? How much machinery are we purchasing? HR decisions, compensation for your workers, for example. So you'll each have assigned functional roles that you will decide as a team who takes on which role, but you'll have to figure out how you come together as a team to take in all that information and make overarching decisions for the whole company. You'll be doing this for 6 rounds. Each round is a quarter. In class time, it's approximately 1 to 2 weeks each quarter. At the beginning of the simulation, you won't have a lot of information on what your customers want. You won't have a lot of information on how your competitors are going to behave. You're going to have to make a lot of decisions about where you're going to be operating, how much to produce right off the bat, where to invest, how to finance yourselves. These are big questions and you won't have a lot of input, but as you move along in the simulation, you'll get that information about how your customers reacted to the products that you've offered, how your competitors have interacted with you, or what choices they've made. So you'll be able to react in real time and learn as the simulation goes along. At the beginning, you will have the opportunity to purchase market research and get a little bit of a head start on what your customers are looking for. So right off the bat, you'll have to make a decision around where to sell and where to operate. So you're given the options of New York, Amsterdam, Rio de Janeiro, and Bangalore. So roughly 4 regions to sell in. You'll also have the option to start a web-based sales platform. There are 3 different overarching customer segments. Customers looking for a recreational bike, kind of a mid-tier segment for people who are interested in mountain biking, and finally the speed segment. Those are your elite bicyclists who are probably willing to pay a higher price for a bike with more bells and whistles. You'll learn a lot more about what these customers are looking for in a bike as you go along, and then you'll have to make the decision whether you're targeting all these segments, just 1 or 2 of these segments, because they'll need different products and different product features as you go along. And your strategy can evolve as you go along. You can start by targeting a single segment and moving into additional segments as your company matures. So first quarter, you'll be very busy just organizing your team, picking a name for your company, starting to just understand and get your sea legs under you. In the second quarter, you'll start testing market brands, prices, your advertisements. So your marketing person will be very critical in that second quarter. You'll start hiring employees, so you'll have to figure out the right compensation for employees, and your operations person will be very busy figuring out the production schedule for each brand. In the third quarter, that's when that feedback starts rolling in. So you as a team will have to analyze the market reports that you're getting back, both your competitive performance, what your competitors are doing, your ad judgment, your brand judgment, and your sales information, as well as your financials, will help you to make better decisions going forward. At the end of the fourth quarter, you're going to submit a comprehensive strategic analysis in the form of a video to your board. This is also a point where you're going to be able to ask for financing. I will tell you more about that when we get to quarter four. After quarter four, it tends to be more smooth sailing. You either like the strategy you have and you stick with it, you're making small refinements, or you don't like it, you try something new. And this is an opportunity to think about, if there were more than 6 quarters in this game, what would your strategy be going forward? In fact, that's one of the assignments built into this class around the strategy, is to think a little bit about that. So in quarter four, I mentioned that you'll have the opportunity to get outside investment. So one of the big constraints about how quickly you can grow is going to be financing. So you'll have a certain amount of startup equity capital, and you have complete ownership of your company for the first 3 quarters. It's not until quarter four where you're able to seek outside investment capital. And there's more resources in the appropriate weeks folder on Canvas telling you how to think about raising funds. But this is an opportunity to get a lot of capital injected into your company to really grow and realize some of the opportunities out there. The trade-off, of course, though, is that you're giving up some ownership of your company. So at the end of the day, you want to issue fewer shares at a higher share price if you're able to command that kind of share price. That would just be better for you as the owner of your company. But you will have to perform an assessment to see what kind of return you're offering your investors and if that's feasible. You do have the ability to take out bank financing as well. And of course, there is always emergency financing available, but you want to avoid that option if possible because it's typically at a much higher interest rate. There are real risks in this simulation. Your company can go bankrupt. I don't mean to scare you or make you pick very conservative choices because you will have to make some bold decisions in order to perform well in this simulation. But there is the risk that your company might go bankrupt. So be constantly monitoring your financial performance. And then how will you actually be graded on your performance? How will I actually assess how your company does? So there are a number of different assignments that are outside of the simulation. There's detailed explanations of them in the syllabus and on Canvas that relate to what you're doing in the simulation, but ask you to apply it either by writing a 2-page memo or making your own balanced scorecard. So all of those pieces will be used to see how you're learning through the simulation, but I do actually look at how you perform in the simulation as well. So we use a balanced scorecard, and the simulation calculates its own balanced scorecard, and you'll have the ability to see all the metrics it uses to calculate its balanced scorecard. That being said, it gives you cumulative scores for each area of the balanced scorecard. For example, like financial performance will give you a cumulative score, but you have to kind of dig a little deeper and look what goes into that financial performance metric to kind of understand how you can improve it. So a few final words of wisdom on the overall simulation. You will get into it, or you will get out of it what you put into it. So I can actually see how many minutes each team member spends logged into the simulation, which time isn't always a direct one-for-one correlation with your performance, but it certainly helps. The teams that spend more time working together and thinking about their decisions typically perform better. It's hard working as part of a remote team, and not all of you guys know each other or are in the same place. I understand that, which is why we spend a lot of time up front in this class thinking about how to function together as a group. And last but not least, there is a help file in the simulation, which you shouldn't think of that help file as just like, FAQ to go to if you have problems. I would open it up on day one of the simulation because it basically is a manual, a how-to guide on how to do everything under the sun in the simulation. It's very easy to navigate and very, very helpful. So that would be your first line of defense, first place to go if you have questions and you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing in the simulation. Your second line of defense is, of course, either contacting me or RTA. Okay, best of luck, and may the best team win.